factor crisis. There are a lot of failing schools, again, because of poor neighborhoods, income inequality, and a number of issues like that. But if you take a look at some independent research, for instance, the NAEP scores, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, it's the only neutral testing. Nobody knows who's going to get it or when it's administered. But NAEP scores have been going up consistently for years. Kids are studying much harder curriculum. Kids overall, again, does this surprise anyone? Kids in middle-class schools do very well. Highly resourced schools with good families, kids do just fine. Where are people struggling? They're struggling in places where poverty is high, right? But I do not accept for a moment that somehow they're failing in comparison to schools in other parts of the world, simply because it's always comparing apples and oranges. I have no interest in raising children to be Finns or Koreans or something else like that, right? I guess I would throw the question back at the inquisitors and say, if our schools are doing so poorly, then why do we constantly have educational ministers from around the world visiting our schools to try to figure out why we produce such a creative culture? They can't figure that out for the most part because they accept that we have a much richer curriculum than any place else that you'll go in the world. But if we were so dismal, then why are they trying to figure out why we're producing kids who produce the technology everybody else uses, who produce music forms that everybody else listens to, who produces the movies, that we're emulated around the world, and they're trying to figure out how we do this. The head minister of Shanghai province said, you know, it's elective in China that they take these international tests, the PISA test, the TIMSS test, and all that. And he explained the reason why we do so well is they became test monkeys. We drilled these kids to pass these tests and they passed them, but we dumped the system because we don't want that. We don't want test monkeys. We want creative kids. So we're trying to figure out how to do it the way that you're doing it. So there are a lot of reasons to suggest that we're being misled by this constant barrage of negative news. This creates a pretext for people to come in and take over schools. And who? Corporate interests, again, who are funding these politicians.